The hashtag #SaveSiege has been trending in the Siege community for the better half of a few weeks now. Between your favorite pro players and content creators voicing their opinions on Twitter and in videos, there's not many people that don't know about this uprising of Siege fans who desperately want their game to go back to the glory days. Cheaters running rampant, less content than ever before, a ranked system that doesn't work, and the TDM meta continuing to blow through what used to be one of, if not the best tactical strategy shooter that's ever been created. All of this has led to where we are now. I am a big believer in Siege being able to recover from this, and we will one day get back to being the best FPS there is. And with that, I think it's time I stop being lazy and get back to making this series. To take a look back on what we once had. Because it may be bad now, but it was very much way worse. In this episode, we will be taking a look at Favela. I think Favela is one of the prettier maps in the game, set in the beautiful city of Rio de Janeiro. It's one of the only maps to still be set at night, which, if you can set aside the active warzone us players make it, has a really nice ambiance with the included city lights and fireworks seen on the horizon. As pretty as the map is, I wouldn't say it's my favorite map from a gameplay perspective. I feel it's heavily defender-sided, with there being little to no ways for the attackers to push into the building without opening a window or wall that doesn't lead directly into sight, where there will most likely be a defender just waiting to shoot. But compared to the true disaster was OG Favela, this map will seem like heaven on earth. There are 3 spawn locations for the attackers to choose from: rooftops, market, and schoolyard. For any new players out there who still haven't mastered the art of not getting spawn peeked, the safest bet is probably market, since it has the least potential for a kill. Rooftop leads directly to a window a couple steps up, not to mention the 2 windows to the right of a high traffic area for attacker entry point, and another window right above that that's next to a staircase that's a perfect place for C4 to be trucked at you. Schoolyard isn't too bad, and I personally haven't ever had any trouble with it, but I think just the sheer amount of windows on that particular side of the map will have any newcomer shivering with paranoia, never knowing where to look, in case there is a cheeky defender trying to get an early pick. As for the building itself, there are a total of 3 floors, with the fight primarily taking place on the 1st and 2nd, since the 3rd floor is split into 2 very small rooms, with one being my personal favorite hiding spot to rat on. There are 4 bomb sites split between the 1st and 2nd floor, and they are as followed: 2nd floor storage and 2nd floor coin farm, 2nd floor coin farm and 2nd floor bunks, 1st floor pink apartment and 1st floor pink kitchen, and lastly, 1st floor blue bedroom and 1st floor green bedroom. I believe coin farm and bunks is objectively the best side of the 4, since there's no direct way to get into sight from the outside besides the rappel window that is pretty easily contestable from the defenders. As well as there is essentially no vertical play on the sites directly, so you don't have to worry about retaking an entirely different room on a whole different floor in order to win in a post-plant situation. The map is pretty small in the grand scheme of things, since any room that's not objective is either a hallway or just a really small connector like office or foosball. Despite what I said earlier, something Favela does really well is make use of the entire map. It doesn't feel like one of those maps where there's rooms and entire sections that you probably never go to anymore, and are basically just made for attackers to push from. On Favela, you pretty much are forced to zero, because every entrance to the building is 1 step away from sight. Which I think is a good thing, but for Favela it definitely takes it to the extreme, which is why, like I said earlier, it's definitely not on par with some of the greats. If you watched the other video I made breaking down House, you may have noticed this video has been formatted a bit differently. There's a pretty good reason for that. In the first video, I went with the idea to show off key differences and similarities between OG House and Reworked House, because they're essentially the same map with some renovations. But with Favela, I just could not do that, because OG Favela and Reworked Favela could not be more different from each other. The only thing that stays the same are some parts of the outside, but even then, it's hardly noticeable. Now that we have taken our time to get to know Reworked Favela, let's take a look back on what Favela used to be. When you spawn into old Favela, you get a sense of familiarity. Well, for the attackers, that is. The spawn points pretty much stayed exactly the same: rooftops, market, and school alley. It's only until you walk out of spawn itself that it looks like you're on a completely different map, and that's because you are. The devs essentially scrapped the entire building and built it from the ground up. There's essentially no part of the map that would leave you saying, "Oh, I recognize that." And truth be told, I think it's for the best. As we take a tour around the map, you may or may not have noticed that almost every wall we come across is soft, meaning there's hardly anywhere a defender can stand without the possibility to be spotted from somebody outside. What makes it worse is that there's a ton of balconies and roofs that the attackers can just sit on around the map, so you pretty much have to play a game of Where's Waldo when trying to peek somebody outside. Taking a more in-depth look at the inside, there are 3 floors and 4 bomb sites. One thing they did transfer over is that the 3rd floor is a very small, made up of 1 room and then a tiny hallway. What I'm glad they didn't transfer is the fact that this tiny room, where every wall is either soft or has a barricade on it, is also a bomb site, which are as followed: 3rd floor rooftops and 2nd floor meth labs, 2nd floor football bedroom and 2nd floor football office, 2nd floor aunt's bedroom and 1st floor aunt's apartment, and lastly, 1st floor biker's apartment and 1st floor biker's bedroom. If the fact that this monstrosity of a room is a bomb site wasn't bad enough, it's also one of the few sites they have across the map that is also multi-floored, with the other bomb site being right below. At least to put a hatch here so you could have access to it, right? Well, that doesn't really matter, because if you have to flee the scene for obvious reasons, you fall into an equally as annoying death trap, seeing as this room suffers from the exact same problem, having an infinite amount of walls that need to be reinforced. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, man, this map is pretty bad, huh? Well, stop thinking, because it gets worse. Favela does not only have 1 multi-floor bomb site, but 2 multi-floor bomb sites. Allow me to introduce you to Aunt's bedroom and Aunt's apartment. And this one might be even worse. Starting off with the fact that there is a staircase below Aunt's apartment that if you don't barricade it, the attackers can just waltz up into sight. Another thing to note is, unlike the other site, there is no hatch, so you're forced to walk down the stairs or rotate all the way around the map to take a fight. The best site of the map, and I use the word best very generously, is probably biker bedroom and apartment, because at the very least, biker bedroom has a reasonable amount of soft walls, and it's on ground level, so there's not really a place for the attackers to hide, and they just have to take the fight head on. Overall, I think this map was in desperate need of a rework, as there was pretty much no redeeming qualities, and despite what my cousin thinks, New Favela is at the very least playable, so way better than before. I wanted to start something new here to motivate myself to keep this series alive, so I will start an official map tier list including the old and new maps. Old House I will put at a C, where New House will get a B. Old Favela will get an F, and New Favela will also get a C. Let me know what you think of the difference between Old and New Favela, and let me know what map you would like to see next. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys back for my next breakdown. Peace out.